So Kuro's finally teased the second half of 3.x, the region, the characters, and it's time. And I guess we should talk about it. Please be warned that today's video does contain a fair amount of spoilers. So if you're trying to avoid that, please avoid this video. There's been a lot of confusion over where we're heading because at first the leaks told us we're gonna go to Mengzhou, but then suddenly everything is saying, and even Kuro's official release videos are saying that we're going to Xuanfang City. So there's been a lot of confusion about where exactly we're heading. And once again, it seems like Xuanfang City is not just a temporary pit stop. The map is actually huge. I'm not sure how or when the entirety of the map will be released. Like, will it be released all at once or around the next few patches? But so far, the map that I've seen is like at least as big as, let's say, 75% of Jinzhou. So it is a very huge map, and this is a very huge place. And Kuro really seems to be following this pattern where all the leaks will say we're going to this place, and suddenly we go to a different place, and we expect it to be like a very quick pit stop. We're just gonna pass by, and then suddenly it becomes a huge region that takes us several patches to explore. Like, for example, Lahairoi was supposed to be a quick pit stop before we headed to New Fed, but then suddenly it became a whole big region with multiple patches. And then we're supposed to go to Mengzhou, but no, now we're going to Xuanfang City, which is like the entrance to Mengzhou. So we're not technically going there yet, but we're at the entrance. And again, this is going to be a few patches. And then in 4.x, we were supposed to head to New Fed. And now we're not heading to New Fed. We're heading to Old Federation, which is like this desert and mountainous region that I already talked about. Considering the pattern here, I feel like we're not going to be headed to New Fed, but we'll probably only explore like 2 or 3 regions of Old Federation in 4.x. And God knows where we'll go after that. But yeah, it seems like these regions being teased are not quick locations, and wow, like, we've been aware of New Federation since the very first patch, I think, or when the story was released in 1.x. And with every leak, every new patch, it's like, we're going to be heading there soon, and we never do. Even in 4.x, apparently, we're still not going to go there. It's like that Kuro is basically blueballing us at this point, and it's so it's so irritating at this point. Like, damn, just let us get a look. I mean, I know they want to probably extend this game through the next few years, but still, like, you can't tease a region so far back at the start of the story and then just refuse to take us there. It's constantly mentioned. It's always like an overarching presence everywhere, and yet we're not allowed to go there or have too much information about it. Oh my gosh, talk about irritating. Okay. This is not about New Fed or Old Fed. This is about Xuanfang City, and which is like the entrance to Mengzhou, apparently. I did talk about this in my 3.x predictions video, I believe, about a lot of stuff, but at that point, things were more speculation. I think now we can kind of anchor things down a bit more. As I said, this area would probably be around Jingzhou, because Jingzhou is like supposed to be the guardian city, or like the boundary of Huanglong. And so far that has been true. Xuanfang City is located exactly around the gorges of spirits, around that area, which is probably where we expected it. As you can see, this is the entrance to Xuanfang City, and this is just beside the gorges of spirits. Let's see the characters. So far, Kuro has already drip marketed 6 of the characters. So that would be Yangyang, or rather her 5-star version is called Xuanling. So that would be Xuanling and Suisui, her sister. Her younger sister? Her elder sister? Apparently Yangyang has 2 sisters. Okay, this part is a bit unconfirmed. Suisui is her sister. Apparently she also has another sister, but that part is unconfirmed. Everybody said that Suisui is her younger sister. Let's see. So Xuanling, Suisui, and Chisa are supposed to be a team. Xuanling and her sister Suisui are obviously each other's best in slots. Suisui is supposed to be a negative status healer. If you compare her to Chisa does more damage, less healing, while Suisui is supposed to do more healing, less damage. Suisui also scales off of energy region. Although currently Suisui, Yangyang, and Chisa are one team, I do believe Suisui is supposed to be a replacement for Chisa for negative status teams. I think another team Suisui can be in is Hiyuki, Lucilla, and Susu. Okay, so Yangyang does a lot of havoc damage, and a lot of her damage is considered heavy attack damage. Our Xuanling is a havoc damage and heavy attack damage dealer. She also benefits by Chisa and Susu applying Havoc Bane to a target, so she does more havoc damage due to that. So far, Yangyang, Susu, and Chisa seem to be the best team, the BIS team. However, I feel like because this team has 2 healers, I think Chisa will eventually be replaced by some other Havoc character. Some other character who deals Havoc Bane damage, or somebody who's a Havoc sub DPS. Though right now they haven't confirmed anything. Right now Yangyang / Xuanling's outro buffs another Resonators havoc damage. So here it seems that Yangyang can both apply Havoc Bane stacks and take advantage of stacks that some other Resonator has applied. Let's see Susu's kit. Susu does a lot of glacier damage through most of her attacks. She also heals a lot. In fact, she's a very strong healer. And it seems, at least based on how I'm interpreting her kit, that she can heal even when she's not on field. Her outro gives all damage amplification. And her resonance liberation is the one that gives resonators in the team negative status bonuses. So it is not her outro or her forte, but her resonance liberation that does negative status damage. That's interesting. And as I said, currently they seem to have some synergy with Chisa, but I still feel like this is not their best team. Like, Chisa is not their best second/third in slot. I do believe they need a different Havoc or just another sub DPS who can do negative status or Havoc Bane damage. Currently, Suisui seems to be usable with Hiyuki and Yangyang with other heavy attack damage dealers. Or heavy attack damage buffers, sorry, not dealers. Yangyang and his sister Suisui also share the same echo set, so they just use the same echo set in a different way. So both of them use an echo set called Song of Falling Feathers in the Void. Right now, the translations are a bit rough and unofficial, so I don't know if this will be the final name. If this will be the final name of the echo set, but currently it is called Song of Falling Feathers in the Void, which buffs energy region and crit rate and heavy attack bonus for Yangyang and energy region for Suisui. Interestingly, Yangyang's tacit mark glows blue instead of golden. I'm pretty sure we're also gonna have the logo of the game is also gonna change in 3.5. We're obviously gonna have the new Yangyang as our icon. Suisui is a Glacial Rectifier healer / support. And Yangyang is a Havoc Sword main DPS. Honestly, Yangyang is looking incredible, and I can't wait to pull for her. I'm not too sure about Suisui yet. She is a negative status healer, and that does seem to be a big thing in the future patches. Plus, I don't have Chisa, so maybe it's high time I get a negative status healer / support, but I'm not too sure yet. Interestingly, if you see the drip marketing, Yangyang and Suisui have the Jinzhou icon or the Jue icon in their drip marketing, while the other four seem to have the Sentinel Sin or the Mengzhou symbol in their drip marketings. So to summarize, in 3.5, we're going to go to Xuanfang City, and we're going to get Yangyang or Xuanling and Suisui, and though they took their sweet time, we're finally going to have Electro Rover in 3.5. Returning viewers of this channel will know that I talked about Electro Rover like literally I think a month or two ago, and I said they're gonna be there in 3.3, but for some reason they kept getting delayed. Even I'm shocked that it has taken them so long, but Electro Rover is finally here, and it seems, again, this is something I talked about in my 3.x predictions video, but Electro Rover is gonna have synergy with Sin. Unfortunately, it seems Sin is only going to be released in 3.7. So we're going to have two patches with Electro Rover not having a best in slot. So that's going to be, I don't know, just like Spectre Rover, I don't know. Yeah, because the Havoc Rover doesn't even have a dedicated best in slot. So it's just like Spectre Rover all over again. Let's talk about Sin. So Sin is not supposed to be a Sentinel Resonator, but rumors are that she's actually the Sentinel itself in human form. Like just like we have Denya, that is the Threnodian Aleph one, in human form. In a similar way, we're gonna have Sin, the Fox Sentinel, in human form. I do believe Sin is also gonna be a new weekly boss. And I mean that's not really that surprising because we did have Jue as a weekly boss. So Sentinels have been a weekly boss at times. Sin is rumored to be a Electro Flare negative status DPS who is gonna have synergy with Electro Rover, obviously. So far, we have very little information about them other than that they're gonna be each other's best in slot and that she'll scale off of Electro Flare and that she'll work with Electro Rover. Interestingly, there's been some rumors about Sin actually being a sub DPS and not a main DPS, which is interesting because generally Sentinel, like characters such as these who are so grand in lore, tend to be main DPS characters. Like all these Sentinel Resonators have always been main DPSs. However, she is not a Sentinel Resonator. She's the Sentinel itself in human form. And if you think about it, in lore, the Sentinels answered to the Lord Arbiter. So her being a sub DPS to support Electro Rover as a main DPS would make sense in lore, but I don't know if they'll actually go for that. Yeah, honestly, don't believe that to be true. I think people will riot if Sin turns out to be sub DPS. So I think it is more likely that she is the main DPS and her best in slot sub DPS is probably gonna be Electro Rover. And then their third teammate could be potentially Suisui or Chisa as they both scale off of negative status. However, like this is all the way up to 3.7. So let's see. In 3.6, we have two characters. One is a male called Jingran, and one is a female called Qingxiao. Jingran is supposed to be a fusion damage dealer. Jingran is supposed to be a aerial unit that utilizes shielding. Well, potentially. He is supposed to be a main DPS and he has a lot of aerial attacks and aerial combos. Jingran actually scales off of HP, not attack. And when they obtain a shield, their crit rate increases, as does their fusion damage. He is rumored to use heavy attack, but it is not yet all too sure. And he could potentially be usable with Yuno for now. Jingran seems to have a dual form, a yin-yang dual form. While Qingxiao is supposed to deal arrow damage, but also tune strain damage. Qingxiao is supposed to be an arrow character, a bit like Zhang Li. Qingxiao is supposedly supposed to have a sword riding flight ability like we see in wuxia or shangxia themed characters, but it is unconfirmed yet. And she also seems to do a little bit of heavy attack. Qingxiao's echo set is potentially called Heart of Purging Evil, while Jingran's is supposed to be Lantern of the Night Stroll on the Underworld Path. Okay, these names are very tentative because a lot of this info is actually in Chinese. So I'm guessing the people have used like Google Translate or something to translate these. So obviously they could have some difference compared to the actual names, but still. So Electro Rover has this very cool bow and shield weapon thing going on. And interestingly, Electro Rover can also do damage of their past selves, as in Electro Rover can also deal spectral havoc and arrow damage in some of their movesets. And they also use the movesets of some of the previous attributes. So they do a lot of electro damage. They seem to do basic attack damage. They utilize Electro Flare. No. Electro Rover inflicts Electro Flare. Wow. So it is possible Electro Rover inflicts Electro Flare and then Sin utilizes the Electro Flare. So Electro Rover is also... Electro Rover uses a lot of different weapons. Obviously they use some of the previous weapons, like Arrow Rover Sword, even Spectre Rover's sword movesets, Havoc Rover Scythe, and now with Electro Rover they have a bow and a shield that they use. Electro Rover doesn't really have a lot of flashy moves, but I will say from what I've seen so far, Electro Rover is super fast. Like, they switch between their movesets very, very fast. So this is not like Arrow Rover, who is kind of slow and clunky. Electro Rover seems to be very, very quick. They also have like this fox icon on their forte, which again points to some synergy with the Sentinel Sin. As you can see, Electro Rover is super quick, super fast, and now in their enhanced state, they're doing multiple types of damage and multiple movesets using multiple weapons. They also seem to be building the concerto really quick, which again makes me feel like they're a sub DPS. But yeah, super quick, super fast, super efficient is probably what Electro Rover would be. So far, the movesets seem fun. I even like their Resonance Liberation. It is so cool. I love the giant bow and I hope they don't change it because I really like it. Okay, coming to Suoming. Coming to Suoming, who is the one we have the least information about. In fact, we don't even know what patch she's gonna be. Maybe 3.7 with Sin? Assuming is also supposed to be a Havoc character. We know very little about her. Everything about her right now is just speculation. Some people are speculating her to be an echo damage dealer. Some are speculating her to be a Havoc Bane negative status damage dealer, and the third or the second in slot in the Xuanling Suisui team, but we know very little about her. I wonder if she could also fit in the Sin Electro Rover team, but again, we don't know. So far, she's supposed to be a prisoner? I don't know if she's literally a prisoner. It could be a more metaphorical description of her. But yeah, interestingly, we only have 3.5, 3.6, and 3.7 so far. Usually most patches go up to like 2.8, 3.8, and so on. So I wonder if there's still characters that they haven't drip marketed yet. In fact, I think that we might I think we might have Xuanling Susu 3.5, Jingran Qingxiao 3.6, and in 3.7 we'll have Sin and somebody else that we haven't seen yet. And in 3.8 we'll have Suoming and a potential 4-star. A potential Spectral 4-star, I think. And they're supposed to be a male. But again, this is tentative, but so we can probably expect Suoming's patch to be like Chisa's, where we had like, where it's basically like a segue patch between Mengzhou or Xuanfang City and Old Federation. And she's the sole character on the banner with a 4-star character, just like we had Buling. So it's interesting who will be paired up with Sin and what kind of a character they could be. But these are the characters of 3.x or Xuanfang City so far. Xuanfang City itself looks very cool. It still keeps the technological aspects, but also incorporates a lot of Chinese style themes. If you see the architecture, the city itself, the enemies, they all have like this. It's like a mix of stone along with green jade. That seems to be a very prominent color theme. This concept image is of a boss, and I do think this is Sentinel Sin along with Human Sin, and that is one of the bosses we have to fight. We have this treehouse boss who looks extremely menacing, and they seem to have the Huanglong character / alphabet or writing on them. This really looks like a treehouse with a face. It's interesting that we're again moving on from one technologically advanced region to another technologically advanced region. I felt like we maybe needed a break and maybe needed to lean a bit away from the technological aspects, but Wuwa is a game based on sci-fi, so it's not that surprising that they want to focus on that aspect of it. Oh, right. Qingxiao is supposed to be, as I said, somebody who flies on a sword, and Jingran is supposed to be the leader of the army in Xuanfang City, I believe. The general or something. Wow, and once again, there is no mention of Geshu Lin. Like, again, even with the Faxidus members, it's like Kuro is blueballing us. Like, seriously, where is Geshu Lin? He was supposed to be here by now. Like, I think, although I love all the characters and all the lore that we'll eventually find out, the storytelling of Wuwa really feels so slow sometimes. Like, the reveals are so slow, the lore drops are so slow, the character reveals, the regions that have been teased for a long time. It's like, wow, how long is this gonna take? how long is this going to take? It should have been here already. Like, I really feel sometimes that the pacing of Wuwa and the way they reveal things to us could be a little better. I know they want the game to be playable for a long time, but sometimes it feels a bit ridiculous. Like, you can't tease things so far back and then just completely forget about it for like a year or two. Like, this is ridiculous sometimes. I don't know, maybe this is just what I feel, but I really do think they could be a little bit faster. Oh, now that I'm looking at the drip marketing, I'm seeing this theme in the background of like this wheel-shaped circle and swords going through it. Like, if you see in the background of all these characters, there's like a wheel-like thingy and one or several sword-like thingies or dagger-like thingies going through it, which is very interesting. Interestingly, Suisui seems to be from Mingting, so I wonder what she's doing in Mengzhou. And as for the confusion about Xuanfang City and Mengzhou, I think Mengzhou is like a state or a county of sorts, and Xuanfang City is just a city inside of it, you know? I think that would be the best way to understand the regions. Like Huanglong is a country, and in the country there's like 6 states / counties, and then in those states / counties there's like a few different cities, and Mingting is the capital city. Like every country, every nation has a city capital, right? I think Mingting is one of those. It is a city, but the others are more like states or counties. Do you think it is possible they'll reveal Geshu Lin along with Hsin in 3.7? Like, do you think they're gonna surprise us with it? Because so far there's really been not even a whisper of him. So I don't know, like, they pushed Scar back and now Geshu Lin is again nowhere to be seen. I personally don't think any of the Faxidus members are going to get released in Old Federation. We're not even going to New Fed, we're going to Old Fed. So it's just, again, this is what I mean. Like, again, this is what I mean. Koro teases things so far back, and then they just do nothing about it. And they just reveal things so slowly that it's driving me crazy. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe other people are being more patient. I don't know. For God's sake. This area really reminds me of when we first meet Jinchi in, like, what is it called? Like her chamber, her library of sorts. This looks like a tacit field. Do you remember the Xuanfang City is supposed to be floating in the sky, in the air? As you can see, the new map is huge, and not just that, if you can see, it seems they have this very weird border around Jinzhou, and I personally think it is because Xuanfang City is supposed to be in the air, which is why there's this weird separation of sorts, because it is not on the same level as this one, right? It's not on ground level as the other maps or the other cities. But that's all that we have. Okay, to summarize things up, in 3.5 we're going to Xuanfang City, and that is possibly a region in Mengzhou. Mengzhou is more like the state, and Xuanfang City is just a city inside it. And there we'll meet Yangyang, who is now called Xuanling, and her sister Suisui in patch 3.5. Then in patch 3.6, there we'll meet Jingran, who's like the leader or the general of the army, and Qingxiao, who's supposedly like Changli. and she can fly around, or rather float around on her sword. Well, at least for some of her movesets. We don't know if she can actually do it. Well, actually, if Yuno can do it, it is possible that they introduce this mechanic for her. Like, it's not impossible. They're certainly capable of it. Then in 3.7, we have Sin, and we don't know who's running alongside her. I hope it is Geshu Lin, but this is just blind hope. We technically don't know who's running with her. And we are also getting... Sin also has synergy with Electro Rover, and Electro Rover is being released in 3.5, while Sin is in 3.7. I think Sin is a main DPS Sentinel, and Electro Rover is her best in slot sub DPS. But again, that is just my thoughts. In 3.8, we're gonna have a segue patch, just like we did with Chisa. And this time we're gonna meet Suoming. She's gonna be the solo character in her banner, and we're gonna get a 4-star Spectro male character. Suisui is probably the healer of these few patches. So if you're in need of a healer, or a negative status healer, rather, negative status buffer, just like Chisa, or a replacement for Chisa, Suisui is probably going to be a good character to have. And let's see, I feel like there's too many characters who are rumored to be main DPSs. Yangyang is definitely a main DPS. Jingran is also rumored to be a main DPS. Qingxiao, we don't know. Sin, I think, is the main DPS. And Suoming is probably a sub DPS who deals havoc bane damage. But this is the summary. This is the predictions for the second half of 3.x. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to Mengzhou and Xuanfang City. And there's a lot of cool stuff that has been teased or leaked yet. I do feel like the story is going very slow. And if you do agree with me, I hope, I don't know, you'll comment about it or write it in your feedbacks in the game to let Kuro know that, hey, please, you could... I mean, nobody's asking you to be Flash, but please be a little bit faster. Like, let us know stuff. Don't keep postponing stuff. Let Geshu Lin be here, let Scar be here, and don't keep... And for God's sake, let New Federation be here, because it is getting ridiculous. But that's all for this video, and let me know your thoughts. Okay, bye. Okay, so after I recorded the video, Wuwa had their live stream, and they released the trailer for Xuanfang City and for Yangyang and Suisui. So let's take a look at what has already been revealed. Also, I just want to say, if you can hear in the background, there's been a continuous downpour, and I'm sorry about that. It's been raining continuously. So if that's distracting or anything, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so right away we have a brief look at the outside of the city with Rover looking in. Then we get a glimpse inside the city, and we can already see a few NPCs. Abby's making an appearance, and Rover is having... I don't know, Rover is shopping for some reason. There's a lot of birds and kites and flying as a theme that's being reiterated. And that's not surprising, considering Xuanfang City is supposed to be a city in the sky. Another NPC with the long white hair with male Rover. Then we see Suisui It is interesting that the two sisters are like air and water. Whoa, we see Jingran with like this little demon wisp thingy. And I don't know, I did not expect him to have a companion. So far, I hadn't heard of him having a companion. I'd only heard of him having a yin-yang symbolism. Yeah, that's it. I don't think they gave us any information about a dual form or anything. Okay, we see Qingxiao playing... Okay, I don't... To be fair, I feel like I have a brief idea of the instrument. But some of the instruments do look alike, so so I won't theorize too much about it. But again, in this clip, I can see her comparisons with Zhang Li, and I'm thinking that maybe it was a reference to her personality, like how Zhang Li is supposed to be a teacher to Jinxi. Maybe Qingxiao is also a teacher. I'm considering Buling's and Jiangxin's masters did come from Mengzhou. I guess that's not surprising to have a character who's a teacher or a master of sorts. I do wonder, maybe this is a bit of a stretch, but only because she's compared to Zhang Li. I wonder if she has some connection to the character Sin, like a personal connection of some sorts. Okay, so we see 4-star Yangyang surrounded by tacit discords and overlooking a burning city, and the lyrics hint to it being like a trap of sorts and someone like deliberately trying to ensnare her in a mist or in a fog, and that someone is scheming against her. And I mean, that is obvious. The fact that this is scheming against her. And as I said, I did talk about Yangyang in my 3.x character predictions video, and I said she would be winter soldiered. And like basically what they did with Camellia, basically the Fractidus messed with Camelia's memories, or well, she was Lady Flora then, and they experimented on her and messed with the memories, and they tried to make her an enemy of Rovers, but unfortunately Camelia's memories got a bit too messed up, and so she forgot basically everything from her past. And it feels like they're trying to do the same thing to Yangyang, and possibly this time they succeed, because again the lyrics says set a trap tangled with memories, so they're at least the Fractals at least tried to mess with the memories, and I think that to a certain degree they have succeeded, and this time we might actually be against Yangyang instead of with her. But let's see. Okay, once again, looking into the lyrics, they say the land's guarded to stay serene by the stream weaving chaos into harmony, by the flame blazing trails to be free, and by the keen blades drawn from heartstrings. So basically they're saying Xuanfang City is heavily guarded, and that is why it can maintain peace or stay peaceful. And here they say it is because of Suisui, Jingran, and Qingxiao. This is also given a hint to their forte, perhaps. So for Suisui, they say stream weaving chaos into harmony. So maybe like maybe like Jeji, she can turn water into like beautiful, I don't want to say paintings, but like beautiful sceneries or something. And for Jingran, it is the flame blazing trails to be free. Jingran is a fusion character, so that flame part does make sense. Interestingly, the lantern of his and his like little companion demon wisp thingy is making me think of like the undead for some reason, like the river of the undead, and like journeying through with the lantern, or something about like the underworld, or just some connection to death. Yeah, I'm heavily getting some connection to death. Wait, what was it? Did he also not have an army of the? No, maybe I'm misremembering. He's a general of an army, and now I'm thinking maybe it's an army of the undead. But like that, I don't know if that makes sense. But like how Chinese historical stories or movies and stuff have like the army of the undead references. I think Jingran might have that reference, or might have like an army of the undead. Blazing trails to be free. So maybe he is like stuck in this role. This is not something he wants to do. Or maybe he's trying to escape death and go back to the living. Or maybe, again, maybe this is a bit like Galbrenna's story where she was forced to cooperate with tacit discord to live. Maybe his little demon wisp is hinting towards that sort of a story. Then Qingxiao has keen blades drawn from heartstrings. Isn't Qingxiao a arrow character? We do know she uses swords, but here heartstrings. Do they mean literal heartstrings, or do they mean that the sword that she draws on are somehow powered by, or like they exist because of music of some sort? Because she's playing that instrument, and then we can see blades going in all directions. So her forte could be directly related to music. I don't know, this one might be a bit weak for me. Interesting. Sin is here. Sin is introduced with lanterns floating in the river. And they say shining light at moonrise. Also the fact that she is a human sentinel. So Sin also has some connection with the moon. And we can see the city itself and some of the automatons behaving in weird ways. And suddenly we have to fight an army of them. I already talked about this giant treehouse boss. Also at first I said this was just speculation, but now Kuro has officially showed it that Qingxiao can float on her sword. I will say I was not expecting the sword to be vertical. I was expecting a horizontal sword, or like for her to float on one tip, like on one side of the sword, like how they show in movies or anime and stuff. I was not expecting her to float on a horizontal sword. I feel like this is part of her liberation. I don't know if she's gonna pull out this move every time. it feels like she can float in the air like Changli, and this sword thing might just be her liberation. Because otherwise, how exactly are we gonna fight, right? If we're floating on the sword instead of using it. Also, wait, do we have another arrow character with a sword? Are all arrow characters sword except for like Junction? How many sword arrow characters is that? Blade of Past resounds lingering dream hints. Is the Blade of Past supposed to be Yangyang? And is this a confirmation that this is Yangyang's rebirth? Or if this is Rover's next time loop? If we're saying the Yangyang we knew was the past and this is the present new version of her, like her next life? Or is that reaching? Resounds lingering dream hymns. That is interesting. So if the Blade of Past is Yangyang or Xuanling, does that mean 5-star Xuanling gets dreams about her past life as 4-star Yangyang? Or is this Blade of Past supposed to be Rover? And now that Rover has been reborn, Rover is getting dreams about their past life. Or maybe Rover just has more information about their past life through dreams. Interesting. So, Also, as you can see, they have already changed the icon on YouTube, and I will say this is very pretty. It's a very pretty Yangyang, and I don't mind it. I don't mind them changing the game icon. Oh, I see. The icon change is only going to be for this one patch. I thought this was going to be like a permanent icon change. But I guess it makes sense, because otherwise, because people already recognize or associate the game with the current icon, but still it feels weird to change it just for one patch. Cool, but weird. Like, But Yangyang's drip marketing does say long time no see Rover. Is this further proof that her memories were first lost and then we'd recover it in 3.5 and then she's like, oh hey, long time no see? Because if it is true that Yangyang's memories are being manipulated, it is possible that she's seeing the truth in those lingering dreams. Like she's dreaming about songs from the past or something, and their truth is being revealed to her. Let's see. Xuanling has wind breath send the lark song far. So because 4-star Yangyang could read the air currents and read information through the air currents, so she realizes something is wrong because of that. And then she goes to Xuanfang, where she gets trapped, where she finds a burning city and gets trapped with all these tacit discords. And then either she overclocks there, or maybe she's captured and experimented upon by the Fractalists. They mess up her memories. And then she doesn't recognize Rover when she gets there. And then I don't know why we're going to Xuanfang City or Mengzhou. That is according to lore, I mean. Either there we accidentally meet Susu, or she tries to find us, or she deliberately seeks us out. And then her drip marking says, fan unfolds, dawn of truth draws near. So her story is, and so together she and Rover try to find out the truth of what happened to Yangyang. I mean, obviously they're both sisters, so their stories are going to be deeply connected. And Suisui has may peace and plenty bless this land for good. Yeah, she does have a lot of symbolism about peace and goodness and restoring peace and stuff like that. I don't know. It's interesting that the next person they drip marketed was Suoming, even though I'm pretty sure that she's not part of the 3.6 patch. I'm pretty sure she comes out later. But maybe she's introduced in the story before. Locked in the past, the prisoner lingers long. I don't think they're saying she's an actual prisoner, more that she is locked in her past memories of whatever went wrong. Again, we don't have a lot of information about her as a character, only that she is like this young tsundere type of personality. So she's not going to be like a friendly character. Then Jingran has into elusive depths, the loner treads on. Again, I can think of like the river Styx. Like, again, I'm thinking of the River of the Dead, crossing that river, and maybe right now he's treading the line between life and death, with his eyes being two different colors. Maybe one of his eyes, he's lost it, it's fake. Maybe he only has vision in one eye, like Sanwa. Even his resonator mark going through his eyes, I feel like he's definitely blind in one eye. Wait, hold on. What is this trend of male characters being blind? First, there was Choyuan, then there was Luke, and now you're telling me even Jingran has lost his vision? Is that what it takes to be a male resonator in Wuwa? You cannot have eyesight or normal eyesight? Oh my god, this is actually ridiculous. Whoa. Okay. So Jingran's demon ghost thingy apparently is like a cat ghost, which some people are speculating is a Mao Gui, I think, which is ghosts of deceased old cats, raised to take the target's lives and fortunes. Wow, hold on, I think I need to check this out. Interesting, when I first saw the ghost, I definitely did not think it was a cat, but I did see it as a companion creature, just like Galbrana has with her TDs, where they have compromised and coexist together. Interesting. So it is a cat demon. It is a cat demon, which is like a cat familiar. Why would Jingran have a cat familiar? And it makes, yeah, he's supposed to be walking the road between life and death or whatever, but so it is a cat familiar that serves a master. I don't know. Once again, this could be that maybe the demon tried to kill him, but then failed, and then they have like this coexisting relationship. Or maybe it's the opposite, where the cat demon is actually summoned by him or has been with him and is like a companion demon cat. Firstly, according to the descriptions of Jingran, he seems to be like a mix of Kokaro and Brand, like their personalities. Secondly, thinking about his eyes, the way they're different colored, and as I said, I think he can only see through one eye, or like he's blind, like Cho Yuan. And I'm wondering if they're gonna give him a similar effect to Cho Yuan, where he sees in black and white, at least for like a particular duration or in a particular moveset. Because they haven't done it for quite a while now. This is not confirmed. This is unconfirmed, but I don't know, for some reason I'm getting the feeling that maybe they're gonna try that out again. Oh, I also wonder if he has the mechanic of the lower his HP, the greater his damage. Again, unconfirmed, but I wonder if he functions a bit like Danjin. Oh my gosh, is that why Danjin is making an appearance? It's like a hint for him, or maybe I'm overthinking it. Okay, Qingxiao says, Celestial Sword guards the clouded pass. And it is true, even in the lyrics of the trailer, Qingxiao is the guardian of Xuanfang City, or one of the guardians of Xuanfang City. And the clouded pass, I'm guessing, is the actual area that is the entrance to Xuanfang City, and she's the one who's guarding it, at least right now. Celestial sword, interesting. So maybe her sword is a gift from like a god or something. Maybe Qingxiao's sword is a gift from the Sentinel, or maybe some other god or goddess. Oh, right, of course, I forgot. She is inspired by like a mythical beast or a mythical, I don't even know, animal of sorts. Maybe she's like half human. She's not like a pure resonator. I don't think she's mixed with a TD. But I feel like she's definitely mixed with some other companion sentinel celestial being or something. She's definitely like a character that is fused with something. That's the vibe she's giving me. Considering Qingxiao is supposed to be an immortal sword wielding character, this lyric is also, it just emphasizes it. Into soft rain, let the mortal world be purified. So I guess maybe because she resonated with the mythical beast Baizhi, she is immortal now, or maybe she was always immortal. And still she goes out of her way to protect this mortal world. I feel like something in a story is like she's an immortal, she's not supposed to interfere with the living world, with the mortal world, and yet she can't help but protect the people around her and be like this guardian of Xuanfang City, which is a pretty cool backstory. But where are all these immortals coming from? That is the real question. So So as I was saying, in regards to Qingxiao, if you've noticed, has horns on her head, and the inspiration behind it is not another dragon or a dragon, but a mythical beast called Baizhi, which is so interesting. So Baizhi is a mythical beast in ancient Chinese myths, which is known as like a very auspicious beast, and it is like supposed to be a very helpful creature, I guess. It has a tiger's head, red hair, horns, and dragon's body. Or a dragon's head, green hair, horns, and 4 legs for flying and running. So kind of mixed inspirations for what it could be. But basically somebody who's like very wise and protects people from disasters and stuff. So I'm guessing that is the inspiration behind her character and her personality, or her role in Xuanfang City. It also reminds me of our 4-star Baizhi and her creature companion Yudan. I wonder if they also have a similar origin story, because it does remind me of that. So far I think this mythical beast is more of an inspiration rather than like a dual form or a companion, at least as far as I know right now. Maybe she just has like horns on her head in her dual form, a lot like just like how Sigrika has, which would make more sense. Because so far, even with dual forms, most Resonators don't really transform into anybody else. Except for Gauntlets, who transforms into Fleur-de-Lis, and Imeth into a mech. But other than that, so far we don't really have that many Resonators that transform into something completely different. But I feel like we can see that one day. Like, that is something that's possible. I think it would be really cool to have Resonators that can transform into something completely different. And I mean, I feel like, you know what? I do feel like we could get some of that in New Federation, because we already have Scar, and like if you see the inspiration behind a lot of the Fraxidus characters, or even just people from New Federation, they really have those fusion elements, and not just like the fusion attribute, but fusion with other things, like Mortifi with a dragon, Kokaro just summoning this Tacit Discard companion, Scar turning into this Grim Reaper goat. So I feel like by the time we get to New Federation, we could have more Resonators who can transform into something completely different. I don't think this is like a recent thing, because as I said in 4.x, we will be going to Old Federation, and I have a suspicion that we won't go to New Fed just yet. So I think, and even just like design wise or practically speaking, this might take a while to code, or whatever. Like, the practical aspects of it might take a bit of time. But I do highly, highly think we could see that when we go to New Federation. a lot of like transformed characters. Then of course we have Sin, the Fox Sentinel. Clear moonlight drapes the lonely keep. I will say there is a lot of theme of loneliness about all of these characters, honestly. They're going through it alone, they're lonely, they're all very solitary people. They don't really work as a team, at least in the lore. Once again, so much connection with the moon and the Fox Sentinel. I wonder why. Can Sin only be seen at night? Is she not visible during the daytime? That is so interesting. What if she's only visible? What if she only comes out during moonlight or at night? I will say the city is incredible. How are we supposed to traverse this with our motorbikes? Like, I know a motorbike can glide and all, but it does not feel like a convenient mode of transport, at least looking at it right now. Here we can see Rover walking towards the resonance beacon, which also looks very sick. Someone looked at these trees and said that there's bananas in wutheringwaves, and I would like to clarify that as far as I'm aware, these are not banana trees, they're palm trees. Like, there's no bananas on these trees, they're palm trees. See, with so many mountains and stuff, how are we supposed to go around the city with the bike? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Oh, is this supposed to be the place where people are like falling like inside this tower in many scenes? I think Suisui was falling, Rover was falling. Is this the one? Looks like we can also change the weather in Xuanfang City. And I'm intrigued to see what explanation they'll give us. Why can we change the atmosphere of this city? Or maybe it's the seasons of the city. It looks like we have 4 seasons that we can change. Of course, it does make sense that the photography event is back. Even all the enemies / echoes / tacit discords are giving me the vibe of the Army of the Dead, or like the Terracotta Army, which is interesting because a lot of the tacit discords and the bosses look like they're made from stone and jade and some metal parts. So I do think that is the theme of this region. I wonder when we unlock Electro Rover. Cause I don't think we unlock Electro Rover when we fight the treehouse boss. So is it that we're looping and Rover, just like in 1.0, Rover wakes up in Huanglong, except this time he wakes up. Wow, hold on, yeah, wow, I didn't even think of that, because Rover wakes up again. Again, this is a theory, but what if Rover wakes up in the Gorgeous Spirits? And this time, maybe they actually remember their past life, or at least glimpses of it, or dreams of it, or whatever. At least they have more information than they did last time. Or maybe they don't lose their memories, they have all of their memories. And last time they were found by Yangyang and Chisa. But this time, because Yangyang goes missing, they are only found by Chisa and then Baizhi. And then maybe they go seek out maybe one of the two tells us that Yangyang went this way, and then we go looking for her, and that's how we go to Xuanfang City. Like, they point us in that direction. Or we meet Suisui, who comes looking for her sister, and then she tells us that she's disappeared, and so we go with her looking for her. But I think it is insane, because I didn't even think of that. That Xuanfang City is literally beside the Gorges of Spirits. So technically we could be reborn and wake up in the Gorgeous Spirits again, except this time, instead of going to Jinzhou, we go to Mengzhou, or, well, in the direction of Mengzhou, because Xuanfang City is in Mengzhou. Wow, that is insane. That would be insane. If this happens, that would be incredible. So, as I again talked about this before, 3.5 will confirm to us that Rover is in this cycle and they keep looping. And I don't think this is a regressor type of a cycle. At least not this time. Like, I don't think they fail and they return back to the start, they return to the past. At least this time. I think Rover is going through two different types of cycles. And our current cycle has been the longest so far that we know. Like 10,000 years or something. And this one, whenever Rover dies and is reborn, they basically just have a memory wipe. Like, they're not going to the past or going to the start. They're just dying and being reborn. Whether because whether they're trying to kill themselves, or because of certain situations where they fail to stop the lament, and then because of that they die. Either way they die, they're reborn. Sometimes they deliberately wipe the memories, sometimes they have their memories intact. I think the Gorgeous Spirit is a very important location, and as I said, I think this is the location where Rover keeps being reborn. Once again, considering the story that Wuwa has been telling us, I think it makes more sense for Rover to have this loop where they die and they're reborn. But so far nothing has happened to kill Rover. So I wonder what's gonna happen about that. And again, as I told you about Yangyang, she's definitely gonna get into a tough situation where she overclocks and maybe even dies, and then either she loses her memories because she dies, or as I said, she is found by the Fractidus or some other organization, and then her memories are sort of twisted, and then she basically becomes a stranger and possibly even an antagonist in this part of the story, and she fights us, and then stuff happens, blah blah blah. She recovers her memories eventually by the end of the story. And again, as I told you, so far looking at the two bosses that we have in 3.5, neither of them look firstly like they do electro damage, and also neither of them look anything connected to a Threnodian. But again, this is just an assumption, but still, I think Rover dies and then they gain Electro, and maybe once again this is a mystery, they don't remember gaining Electro, or something surprising is gonna happen and we fight an unexpected enemy and then we gain Electro. Because again, so far, like, Rover's echo sets, Rover's farming material, none of them have been teased, right? Like, we get Electro Rover, but there's such a huge question mark. So something unexpected is definitely gonna happen. And just like when we woke up in the Gorgeous Spirits and got Spectro, I think Electro is gonna be something similar. Also, it is kind of insane that I've managed to predict at least some part of Yangyang's story. Oh, like so long ago too. Literally, I predicted it 2 months ago. Holy shit. And I told you about Electro Rover like 3 months ago. And nobody listened to me. They were like, it's obviously Fusion, it's obviously Glacier. I told you. You would have known this 3 months ago if you believed. Wow, it is interesting. I'm just now realizing Yangyang's weapon looks so similar to Galathea's weapon, if I'm not wrong. Like, they feel so similar for some reason. Yeah, see, if you see the new main quest, The Wind Before the Storm, they have given us a brief description of what happens, and this is literally what I've told you 2 months ago. That we go to Huanglong and we find out Yangyang's vanished, and we join her sister Suisui, her elder sister Suisui, to go to Xuanfang in Mengzhou to find her. Okay, a lot of the tacit discords and even the treehouse boss, as I pointed out, have a bunch of writing on it. And this is making me wonder, like, if someone has deliberately, like, written a curse on them. Like, they took these objects, these automaton or robots or whatever they are, and then they wrote curses on them, and that's how they become, like, tacit discords that attack us or that attack the city instead of helping us. Like, maybe this is like one of those curse thingies going on. That could be a theme in Xuanfang or in Mengzhou. Oh, another thing I wanted to point out is it is interesting that so far every time we've had a Sentinel Resonator or an Exostrider Resonator, it has always been a young girl. Like, Wuwa has a few different body types, right? And all of the Sentinel slash Exostrider Resonators they always have like this maiden young body type. Like, if you see Jinshi, Gatatia, Imeth, they all look like they're of a similar age. Obviously not in human terms, but they all look like teenagers. Somewhere around 18 or something, I don't know. And they're always young girls. And this time it is possible that we do not have a Sentinel Resonator. Because if you see Sin, firstly, she clearly has a very different body type. She looks like a grown-up woman. She has like the body type of like Augusta, Cantarella, and like a very clearly grown-up body type. And again, with the rumors of Sin being the Sentinel itself, I feel like since the Sentinel itself is in human form, maybe Mengzhou does not need a Sentinel Resonator. Okay, my bad. There are actually two bosses. One is the Thousand Puppet Pavilion, which is like the treehouse boss, and one is the Myriad Snare Rustfire Chases. But either way, none of these bosses look... I am a bit confused, because the story outline says we return to Huanglong and then we find out Yangyang missing. But story-wise right now, does it really make sense for us to return to Huanglong for no reason? Because to me, it feels like only the rebirth theory or the loop theory make sense. Like for a rover to loop and then be born again in the Gorges of Spirits, because neither of these bosses look like Threnodians. At least lore-wise, I'm not seeing any proof of Rover gaining Electro through fighting any of these bosses or enemies. And in fact, even the echo sets that they drop, the Rustfire Chases, this one drops an Aero and a Fusion set, which is for Qingxiao and Jingran. And then the 1000 Puppet Pavilion, the Treehouse boss drops a different echo set, which is for both Xuanling, that is Yangyang, and Suisui. So neither of them are even dropping an echo set for Rover. And oh my gosh, hold on, there's actually no echo set for Rover right now. We're gonna have to use Void Thunder on Rover? You're telling me, oh my gosh, like ATP Void Thunder is doing way too much. Almost, I feel like literally all of the Electro Companions use that set. How do we have a single Electro Echo set this far into the game with these many Electro characters? And now even Rover is gonna have to use the Void Thunder set. Wow. At least temporarily, because none of these echo sets are for Rover right now. At least they're not for Electro Rover right now. But at least now we have the official names of the echoes. So this echo set, Song of Feather Trace, will be used by both Yangyang and her sister Suisui. They're going to be sharing the set. Then the set Heart of Evil's Purge is obviously Qingxiao's. And it is interesting because she's the only character right now who's been drip marketed who still uses the tune strain mechanics. And then we have Lamp of Nether Road. Oh my gosh, I told you! Oh my gosh, I told you guys. There's something about the netherworld, the underworld, the death thing, and Jingran. There's definitely a connection there. There's something with the undead, the netherworld, the underworld, whatever. Does he have a connection to hell? I don't know. But there's definitely a connection. And his like I said, is Lamp of the Nether Road. I told you, the lanterns, his companion, it's all hinting at something. And the fact that he scales off of HP. But, yeah, okay. So, he scales off of HP and he has shielding mechanics like, I already told you that. So, these are all the official names of the echo sets. So, we have new skins for Lene and Chisa. We have 1.x characters returning, which I'm really excited about. I'm pretty sure this is only going to be a single banner. Like, whoa, hold on. The Starpot Reverb banner is a permanent banner. I thought this was like a temporary banner, but no. So you can make as many poses as you want, and every new patch they're gonna probably switch the characters around, and you can pull whoever you want whenever you want. Oh, that changes everything. Wow, I thought, but then again, what are they gonna do? Are they only gonna put every character once, or will they rerun these banners as well? So right now they're gonna go for ginger characters. Then it's gonna be hopefully Black Shores, and then the start of Resonator, then the middle of Resonator, and then Septimont. Is that what's gonna happen? And then after that, will they rerun the 1.x characters again? Or just the banner and then? Because it's a bit confusing. But at least for now, they're gonna give this banner to us, and you can pull as many times as you want and get whichever character you want. And there are sequences from the shop as well. But it is possible to lose the 50-50, which is, well, I guess this is probably not that good for people who have been playing this game for a long time, because they might have already gotten every sequence for all of the standard 5-star characters. For me, I still have quite a few characters to get. I only recently got Encore, and I've literally never even seen Kokoro, so losing the 50-50 would... I mean, I don't want to lose it, but it won't be like the worst thing in the world. But for people who already have all the sequences, this kind of sucks for them. And even I'm not too sure who I want to pull for. I definitely need advice about this. Should I get a copy of Yinlin? But I feel like having an S0 Yinlin and having a S1 Yinlin is honestly not going to make that much of a difference. And I wonder if pulling Shang Liao might be a better choice, because at least they can be a team. But I don't know how strong of a team they are, because I want teams for the end game right now. So which of these characters would be a better pull? And there's another team I'm thinking of. I have Yangyang, and I just recently got Encore. And I actually don't know what teams Encore has, but I do know for Yangyang, one of the recommended Resonators is Jeji. So I'm really torn between Jeji and Shang Liao. And if you have any recommendations about who I can pair Encore with, do let me know. We also have a weapon pool, and I feel like this might determine which character I pull for, because a lot of the 1.x weapons were the stats were very general, so they could be used by a variety of resonators, which is why I feel like the weapons are more important than the resonators themselves. I obviously already have a String Master. Yinlin and String Master were the first Resonator plus weapon pair that I pulled for ever in this game, and I feel like I made a great choice. I love Yinlin. But other than that, I don't know which of these weapons is going to be useful for my teens or for my Resonators. So if you have any idea about these weapons, please do let me know. It would be a great help. I'm mostly planning to level up my 4 stars and make them as strong as possible. So that is why I'm looking for weapons that they can potentially use. Then we have more bike skins, and now we have a new type of accessories we can buy for Resonators. I feel like this is definitely going to become a huge money making thing for Wuwa. Lament, Recon, Tacit Crisis. A hologram one. I see. I think this is just going to be like the current hologram stuff we have at Lahairoi, but this is specific to Mengzhou. Yeah, I think this is the same hologram simulation thing with a new name. Then we have Virtual Crisis, and oh my gosh, I feel like I don't remember. I remember Virtual Crisis, but I don't remember playing it. Is it just another combat event? We are getting another photography event. A glimpse of Xuanfang. At first I thought this was like the Shape of Yesterday event, but actually it seems to be different. This is a completely new event. Gather fragments and piece together the image of Xuanfang hold, its past, its present, and its future. Xuanfang hold. So this really has a military theme going on in Xuanfang City. Maybe the Army of the Dead or the Terracotta Army references are... I'm just believing them more and more. I feel like this is more proof, more evidence towards it. I don't know about this event. I don't know what this event could entail. Oh wait, we did have a similar event in Lahairoi where we were like piecing, or did we not have something similar in Lahairoi where we were piecing together stuff? Okay, I feel like it is similar to that event where we were turning objects and trying to match them to their shadow. And I feel like it is a bit similar to that one. Except this time we're probably matching it to another image. Then we have Shape of Yesterday, which is always there. That's a classic. We have Lolo Campaign, which is again a classic. We have a Xenia hologram. I think Lament Retcon is like in-state Matrix. It's like a similar thing going on. In Search of Lost Jade, where we're helping an eagle out of danger and back to its nest. This is reminding me of the dragon that we helped in Renacita. This feels similar to that story or that event. That's fun. There's a lot of stuff happening in Mengzhou. I can't believe these are all being released in 3.5. That's a lot of stuff. And obviously we have daily login rewards. Okay, so they're calling them mechanisms, not automatons. Mechanisms. That makes sense. Okay. The city of mechanisms. Xuanfang Hold is collectively maintained by Xuanfang wardens, Huashu doctors, and Ministry of Development artisans. And now that I'm thinking about the song in the trailer and the lyrics, I feel like Suisui would be part of the Ministry of Development artisans. She's clearly an artist. Xuanfang Wardens feels like Jingran because he's already a general of the army. That much I know. Huashu doctors. Is that Qingxiao? Like, I wouldn't have thought she's a doctor or a healer. And Changli was definitely a teacher, right? That was not her role. So maybe Huashu doctors could be somebody else. So I think I forgot about this part, but Qingxiao is actually supposed to also be part of like the military team in Xuanfang City, which does make sense because she is described as like the guard or the guardian of the city who protects the peace of the city. Even Suoming could be part of Xuanfang Wardens actually. Maybe not Jingran, maybe it's Suoming. Oh my god. Not Suoming becoming potential woman too. I swear, they don't even tease her in the trailer. Which I guess would make sense because she's not going to be here until like 3.8. So, at least on the banner. I don't know about the story. But we'll probably see all the others in the story. Like Jingran Sin and Qingxiao, we're probably going to see them in 3.5. Oh, this is again a hint. As I said, I did look at the trailer and said this is one of those things in the trailer where Suisui was falling, the one that seems to go on forever. And this does look like that, this area. And this has assembly lines that run day and night. I see, okay, so that is how they keep tacit discords in check. They make all these auto puppets or mechanisms, and then they're dispatched across the land to eliminate tacit discords. That's very interesting. So will the auto puppets be different than the tacit discords, or would the auto puppets who have I don't even know what to say, where something has gone wrong or they're like glitching or something, they also become tacit discords? I think that's more likely, especially during the fight that we see in the trailer. It seems like the auto puppets do start misbehaving. I'm sorry, I can't think of the word. It's not misbehaving. They start glitching? I can't think of another word. I see. So this is the part where they said that there are like ships and waterways and stuff in Mengzhou. So that would be near the Shaft Post Yard, which is where the shipping takes place. I will say I expected the ships and boats to be a bigger part of the city than I expected. Then again, this is just Xuanfang. This is just the land of Xuanfang. We haven't technically been to Mengzhou yet. So maybe it could become more and more like that. There could be more travel by boats and stuff. Oh, see? This was here all along. There is a turmoil and the auto puppets go out of control. So we go to Xuanfang City. We try to find Yangyang. We realize auto puppets are going out of control and we try to uncover the mystery. And then this mysterious artisan, who's probably part of the department of artisans that we just talked about, they launch an attack with the rogue auto puppets. Again, the auto puppets are Sentinel technology. I don't know. When I look at Sin, I really don't think this is a person who is designing all these auto puppets. Or like who has the technological knowledge of it. Like maybe I'm being... Firstly, it's just the same thing that we had in La Roy. The same story. And also this time it's even more unbelievable because the Sentinel is this Sin who does not... I don't know. I wish they would change the story a bit. Sometimes it feels a bit repetitive. Interesting. Although there's no Sentinel Resonator, it feels like Yangyang is being treated like the Sentinel Resonator in the story. Like she's definitely going to be part of a lot of quests in the story, or at least a reference. Because even in the segue, it seems like she's the one who leads us to 3.6. As she's waiting on a resonance assessment report, a mysterious voice starts to whisper in her ears. Maybe that voice is Qingxiao who wants her help? I will say this looks like a very packed patch and I'm excited, but sometimes some aspects do get a bit repetitive in Wuwa, which I don't like, especially when it comes to the tacit discords and like the logic behind them. But I kind of get it, like the role of the Sentinels is to help humanity, and since they're like technologically biological beings, that's a weird word, but yeah, it would make sense that they would be able to help the Resonators or the people of Solaris through that technology. But again, it does get a bit repetitive at times. But yeah, I think I have discussed everything that happened in the trailers and everything that Koro has shown us. Though I'm excited to pull for Yangyang, I do not have any money. This is ridiculous. Oh right, they are also updating the model for male and female rover. Nothing like no major changes, just a few minute details that are being enhanced. What? What? Luuk is making a comeback? Oh my god, I don't have money. No! I have no asteroids. How am I supposed to grab Xuanling and Luuk? Christ. Oh, this is so bad. Oh, I had not planned for this at all. Good God, I can't continue. This makes me so upset. I had no idea this was going on. I don't have much. I have like barely 1,000 asteroids, Christ. Okay, so I took some time off and I processed the fact that Luuk is returning and I have I have barely any asteroids left for him. I don't think starting the Luna subscription right now will give me enough time to get enough asteroids for him either way, so this is gonna be tough. Like, I have 1,000 asteroids in a dream, I guess. But okay. Let's see. So, in 3.5, we're gonna have Yangyang, Lene, Luuk, and Suisui, Imeth, and obviously the 1.x character banners. I will say the convene animations have taken a turn. They are just works of art. They're just super gorgeous. I cannot believe they're releasing a skin for Chisa when they've literally ignored her in the story for so long. It's a bit ridiculous. Come on now. The team menu is also changing in a major way. We also have some transform movesets, which seem to have like this very extended animation. Because generally transform echoes tend to be quite short, but these go on forever almost. So I don't know if this is like, depending on when we use the echo, we might use like a specific move, or if they do all the moves together. I feel like I don't think it would make sense for echoes to last that long, because I feel like people would kind of get bored with the animation. I think it would make more sense if, and again, with some of the echoes, I don't know if this is true for all echoes, but with some of the echoes, like, depending on when you use the echo, they have a different animation. Like, for example, if you're dodging, if you're parrying, if you're attacking like a ground enemy or an enemy that can fly, or maybe something like that. So they seem to have different animations instead of just one. The tacit discords in Xuanfang City, a lot of them fly or float or jump. And, well, I've even seen some of them are really cool and have some cool moves. Also, they have quite a wide area of attack, so even if you're far away, they can attack you. Also, another thing I have seen that a few of the tacit discords also do multiple attribute damage. And I don't know if a lot of TDs can do that, at least on normal TDs. Like, bosses can do multiple attribute damage, but so far I don't think we've seen this with TDs. So that is a very interesting aspect. We're already moving to tacit discords that can do multiple attribute damage. You know, some of the TDs actually are so cute. Is that weird? Like, one is like a teapot, one is like, what do you call it, like a snow lion or something? Then there's like this dude who's made of rings. There's one that has the movesets of a boxer, and one that just like smokes a pipe. Very interesting batch of TDs. I love how creative they get. Here we have some information about Electro Rover, and I've already told you about Xuanling and Suisui that Yangyang is a main DPS who uses Havoc Bane, and Yangyang uses heavy attack damage as well, and she has traction in her kit. And Suisui, again, as I said, is a support and healer who uses Glacier Chafe, and she's a negative status damage amplifier. And Electro Rover utilizes Electro Flare, which actually we did suspect or know. However, they also have Concerto Efficiency. So I guess they build Concerto really fast, which would make sense considering it's like Electro, which is one of the fastest elements. And they do resonance skill damage, so it makes sense. I did tell you in my 3-1X predictions video that Electro Rover would be usable with Booling, and it seems like for now that is the best person to be in a team with, especially in like an Electro team. I do wonder, until Sin arrives, what is Rover's best team? Like, maybe, I don't know if they can be that useful with Augusta. Maybe Rebecca for now, or Yinlin. Oh my gosh. I remember running a Havoc Rover Yinlin Verena team when I just started, And now it seems like there's a possibility for Electro Rover Yinlin and a Buling team, which is so interesting. And as I said, we don't have a dedicated echo set for Rover yet. So again, White Thunder is just holding the fort right now. It's just carrying all the Electro Resonators right now. It also makes sense that they're not releasing an echo set for Rover because getting sequences for Electro Rover is obviously going to take time. And once again, they're going to be played with the Sentinel Sin, who's only coming in 3.7. So technically we do have a while before we get Rover's best teams. So maybe that's the reason why they haven't given us any resources, any echo sets for them. But we're gonna obviously get echo sets for Yangyang and Suisui, and also for Qingxiao and Jingran. So anyone planning to pull for these characters can start farming as soon as the patch releases. Once again, Suoming, we have very little information. As I said, I believe she's like Chisa, where she's going to be part of the 3.8 segue patch with the possible Spectre 4-star male that we're going to get. There's confirmation about 4.x being New Federation and unlocking Fusion Rover. A lot of people are calling this random, but viewers of this channel will know this is not random. This is in lore, and I have already discussed this in my Electro Rover video about Rover and the attributes. And I said that the upcoming Rover will be Electro and then Fusion in New Fed, and then the last one will be Glacier. And it is not random. If you follow the lore, there's actually a lot of hints, and there is some sense to why they are, but again, I guess those people have not seen my videos and my explanations. But yeah, Fusion Rover is next after Electro Rover. I will say Aero Rover has been with us for so long, and now suddenly we're getting Electro Rover and Fusion Rover, and I'm guessing Glacier Rover is not that far behind. So I'm wondering what will happen after we've exhausted all the attributes. Are we gonna go to dual attributes, triple attributes? Are we gonna add new attributes? I wonder what's gonna go. I really do. I mean, we already have bosses which can do dual attribute damage. So it is possible, and even, Electro Rover already does no, not even triple, 4 attribute damage. They can do Spectro, Havoc, Aero, and now Electro damage at once. So we're already sort of moving towards it, but yeah, I wonder how dual or triple attributes would be, because the enemies already do it. At first it was the bosses, now as I said, some of the echoes / TDs in Xuanfang City already do multiple attribute damage, so I do feel like the story is hitting there. Oh my gosh, people are still talking about how Rover gains attributes from Sentinels. They don't. They get their attributes from Renodians, not Sentinels. And I have another video where I explained all about this. Electro Rover has like this wristband or like a bracelet on his arm. And usually this happens with like Gauntlet characters, I believe. But But Rover has always used his sword. So I wonder if they're actually going to change weapons for Rover. I find that hard to believe. But then again, the presence of the bracelet slash wristband makes me wonder if Electro Rover is going to use like gauntlets. Yeah, I think it's gauntlets because I don't think Rectifier users utilize something like that. Historically, I feel like it's always gauntlet users that have these bracelets slash wristbands, and that is where their gauntlets are. How would that even work? Because so far all the rovers are like the same, right? Like I'm talking about like the menu, the display, like they don't even allow us to have separate rovers and all at once. We can only choose one at a time. Like we have to equip and re-equip the echo sets anytime we have to change it, and it's like, how would that even work? Like it's different weapon. Huh, that is very interesting. Oh, also Electro Rover has this very cool parry stance. A lot of people have compared it to a lot of different characters, like Hiyuki, Zani, or Tauchi's parry stance, and even Junctions. But actually, to me, this looks more like Cho Yuan's parry stance. Like when he has those black waves coming out of him and he's listening for the enemy, and he can automatically parry and dodge in that stance. That's what it feels like to me. But Electro Rover does have that. And in that parry stance, they have this super cool dodge, which basically is like them turning into like this, like a current, like a flash, a purple flash, and it is super, super cool to see. And it is super fast too. It's not just cool, it's also fast, which would make sense. You know, I was looking through the characters in Wuwa the other day, and I realized that while there's a lot of memes and talks about how there's not enough Electro characters and there's not enough Glacier characters, and we keep getting Fusion era characters, but then I was looking through the guide, I think, and I realized actually the number of characters for each attributes are not that far off. Obviously, I mean both 4 stars and 5 stars. If you consider both of them, actually the number of characters for each attribute is very close. It's not that far off. It seems like the birds actually follow Yangyang everywhere. It's like environmental effects or something. As for me, I'm just happy that at least some of the things that I have theorized and some of the things that I've revealed have turned out to be true. I even talked about the etheric seed, the yin yang symbolism, the inspiration behind the states and how they function, and most importantly, tacit marks in my last video, which is where I explained my death and rebirth theory. So if you need more information about that, check that out. I did say that I'm gonna make a video about the Fractidus Fembis, and believe me, it is coming soon. But for now, But for now, this is all that I have for you. Thank you for watching this channel. And if you want more information about things that I've already talked about, there's other videos you can watch that I have referenced. And yep, that's it for now. That's all for now. Thank you for listening. Bye.